we're going to be watching Suika and Aya, and I'm going to be giving a couple highlightable moments, and that'll be that. Okay, that was sad. Don't mean to start on a depressing note here, but look at what happens when you air tech versus Suika. I talked about this a little bit the last time we were brought up into this matchup here. Anybody versus Suika has that same issue. It didn't really mean much, but you can see how low Aya is already from that first exchange with a couple of air techs and like one combo. Suika can take you out so fast. It is crazy. So what happened that round and why it was over so fast is what I like to call the Suika slugfest. It's what happens if you just start air teching versus Suika and you just start trading hits. It doesn't necessarily feel like you're gonna lose, but Suika can outdamage you. You are playing Suika's game if you just air tech and you trade J5As. Suika's gonna do a lot more damage than you. You can see that the Aya did about half the damage that Suika did. By the time that the Aya was dead, Suika had reached approximately half HP. That is not good. You don't want to do that, especially if you're Aya and you have the lowest damage output in the game. I will say something about this Aya that I do enjoy is the 6C. It is very well placed such that you can't really do anything against it, and it's going to be there for a couple of active frames more than normal, which is really good. And it lets you kind of zone, it lets you put a bullet that is kind of stationary for a little bit of time, so that your opponent can't really do anything other than block or graze. So the reason why Suika was probably just kind of sitting around there and not really doing anything, just kind of letting Aya do whatever she wanted, Typhoon was on the clock. It almost worked out, and Suika probably would have won the round off of that. But it didn't, so she didn't. So we have Iku, which has a lot of range and spacing things that she can do versus Komachi, and Komachi has a bunch of spacing range things that she can do herself. The issue lies in that Komachi and Iku have very different sources of blind spots, whereas they kind of attack from a little different angles, even though they're fundamentally kind of similar in how they operate. It's a little bit weird to think about, but they are very similar characters just based on what their game plan is. So both of them want to space themselves out very well, and they want to win with Okizeme tools. For Iku, she wants to win with delay bolts or maybe a well-placed Exodia. And Komachi wants to win with Endless Way, maybe a 3-card, some really well-placed conversions with spell cards. Lots of meter usage for both of these characters. So we'll see if either of these players know how to use that game plan very well. We know that Felt on Iku here is not the greatest at using his meter correctly. Komachi, however, has a pretty solid grasp on fundamentals, as we have seen previously. Okay, so I spoke too soon. They just ran at each other and J5A'd. Okay, I got my hopes up. That's on me. So we can see here the Komachi's fundamentals are really showing. Not only do you get a really good conversion, you can see the Komachi with the option select. She was expecting for a no-tech, however, in the instance that she doesn't get that, she spaced herself in such a way that her 6-6C will be spaced properly to hit Iku if she wants to dash out, if she techs out. That was very good. That was a good option select. Good Okizeme. Okay, so what we see here is Endless Way Okizeme. It is done pretty well, so we can see the exact same strat that Komachi used versus Yuyuko, which is the dilate into the Endless Way because they have similar frames. And it actually works in the exact same way. It is a pretty effective strategy. If you're a Komachi player, tell me if I'm completely talking out of you-know-where, but this seems like a pretty viable mix-up. I'm not sure if it's as good as maybe using the Alt 212 Taste of Death, because that one is a melee, whereas this is just a bullet. but it seems pretty good. That's a pretty good mix-up there. It seems very ambiguous whether or not it's going to be dial A. So this was kind of interesting. This is a pretty interesting way of dealing with Veil. So Iku's Veil, if you don't know, what it basically allows her to do is become bullet invulnerable and just any invulnerable when she's grazing. Komachi's response to this is to just stick a fat 3 card right in front of her and say, "You can't touch me." And it seems to have worked pretty well. Iku is really, really low on HP, and it seems like Komachi just wants to play it safe and really wait it out here, which is a very, very good safe call, especially in a tournament setting. Everybody plays really safe here. So that was actually pretty cool. So effectively what the Komachi was doing was just posturing, jumping back and forth, but waiting, not actually approaching until she had cover of that C bullet. And the 2B to catch the extended hurt box of Iku's J2A was very well done there. That was a very well placed intentional setup by the Komachi. That is it for Group B, and tomorrow we'll start with Group C and a whole new roster of players. Stay tuned.